carry me. I can see.
We'll call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order at 6:16. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Miller?
Here.
Mayor Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Doherty?
Here.
Mr. Burchett?
Here.
Mrs. Witt?
Here.
Ms. Marcus?
Here. We have the approval of the minutes from the August 10th meeting. If there are no changes or corrections, they will be approved as they are. Hearing none, they are approved. Finance Director,
No report, thank you.
City Manager.
Yes, I just wanted to share that Wind Supply, the Richard Swartz Innovation Center, has agreed to allow us to use the conference room for our meeting that we'll be holding on September 8th. So that's where we will be, and we'll make sure that that gets publicized and go through the right process. I wanted to share that. I extended council's appreciation to Mr. Tolliver in allowing us to utilize the facility probably from that 11 o'clock window until the end of the day if necessary. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor,
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Law Director,
No, ma'am, thank you.
Clerk of Council.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay, well, we have no one requesting to speak, so we will go into business. The first item is the prospect incentive discussion.
I'll go ahead and, I know Matt's played a role in this as well, so he might piggyback and add something, but there is a project named Papayas that is a Jobs Ohio prospect who has an interest in some of the IRG property. And they've indicated they need about 186,000 square feet. They would bring 70 jobs initially, and then they would hire another 93 by the end of 2024, and total employment after 3 years would be approximately 233 jobs. Payroll, once all folks were hired and retained, would be approximately $15 million a year. That generates $375,000 a year for the city. And Jobs Ohio is offering grant dollars, workforce development dollars, and JCTC, which is Job Creation Tax Credit dollars. And they have approached the city as well. I have told them that we would give consideration to a forgiveness loan, understanding what we would be generating annually. We mentioned $250,000 as a possible incentive, and they would be committed to a 5-year agreement where 20% a year would be forgiven, provided the annual payroll pledge was met. Obviously, in year 1 and year 2, we'll kind of have to ladder it a little bit because they won't be at their full potential, job potential, until the 3rd year. But even in the first year with the 70 jobs initially and the 93 created, that would generate approximately $200,000 to $250,000. So after year 1, we would be breaking even, and then we would have another 4 years of the agreement, which would generate about another $1 million or $1.5 million. And obviously, the exciting news is that this would continue to try to redevelop some of the remaining areas that are left since the investment by Fuyao and some of the other tenants that are over on the site. So what we're looking for is requesting legislation to support the forgiveness loan in an amount of $250,000 for a 5-year agreement. And I would say for the next regular council meeting, however, the brokerage firm that is representing the prospect, they said they would let me know for sure on that, because I have told them that by the time we draft legislation and vote on it, obviously the name of the company would have to become public at that point in time, and it couldn't be done under a project name. So they're waiting now or they're getting back to the company to understand their specific time. So I can answer any questions or Matt, do you have anything to add to that?
Just, I guess, in doing all the due diligence, I would just point out that this project is not eligible for EDGE funds through the county. And so it does make it more important, our contribution, although we have attempted and talked through some of those opportunities. So we did try and go as far as we could in finding other partners.
Him saying that reminded me, so initially this was going to be a $30 million investment. $5 million would be owner improvements, tenant improvements, so to speak. The rest is machinery and equipment. In our last conversation with the prospect, that $30 million has been elevated to about $57 million. And most of that, again, is machinery and equipment. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of that isn't inflationary costs as well that we're all dealing with right now. So, but this is a great opportunity, and again, it starts finalizing some of those vacant buildings and our ground that we have from the GM development.
Do we know what this company does?
We do, but they've requested that I kind of hold that right now. It would come out soon, and I could share more in the coming days. This is,
I think that we couldn't hear that. You couldn't tell us.
they're an industrial, I will tell you, they're an industrial user.
So at this time, you're not needing any legislation.
No,
from us.
I would like to
does,
request
does.
legislation. I don't know if it would necessarily be on the next regular meeting. I should be able to learn that in about the next week. So the commercial broker firm that is representing the prospect, when they found out that we would have to go public for the legislation piece, they asked me to, if it could be delayed, if it needed to be, and that they would get back to me and let me know. So the request would be to have legislation prepared, and then at a future council meeting. That could be the next one, or it may be one after that.
I'll make a motion that the necessary legislation be prepared.
Any other questions or comments?
I have
Roll call.
a question about timing. Would that be this fiscal year or potentially
Yeah,
next?
that's a
fiscal year?
good point, Don, and you and I talked about that. I apologize on that front. This would likely come out of this year's budget, so we may need a supplemental legislation as well, because we weren't anticipating, I mean, this is great news at the end of the day, but we did not, as we put in money for incentives and then possible edge grants and other items, we did not anticipate such a great prospect coming our way. So we would need a supplemental appropriation as well.
So I have a question. You and Matt know what this company is, and you're comfortable with it coming to Moraine?
Yes. And they,
Okay,
this is what, they also have they have a local presence
okay.
in the Dayton region already.
Because I kind of don't like voting blind,
Yeah, it's a,
so.
yeah, but they.
But if you all have researched it,
So, and I will tell you this as well, part of the reason behind it is they have signed the letter with Jobs Ohio, but Jobs Ohio has not taken their incentives to the controlling board yet for approval. That's another reason why it's still under its project name.
And we also have an extra week in between the next council meeting, too.
Yeah, that
So,
very
yeah.
well may be enough
Yeah,
time
it's 3
that we
weeks.
need.
Yeah,
Yeah,
3
we have
weeks.
3 weeks.
okay.
well, then I'll make a motion that we,
We have to vote on
Or-
yours first.
Or I
Sorry.
made the motion.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it's a motion.
Roll call,
So
please.
forget mine.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes,
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. Now we need a motion for the addendum, supplemental.
Supplemental.
okay, so go ahead.
Somebody gonna make it?
Vote.
Okay, I'll make it, I'll make the motion for the supplemental.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes,
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. Okay, our next item is Montgomery County CDBG, the South Dixie resurfacing.
Yeah, this is simple, quick, and good news. Tawana with Montgomery County reached out and said that we have been awarded $150,000 to go towards South Dixie, the actual project that you have seen. It's currently under construction and being finalized. In working with Don, we determined that from other funding and the fact that this project came in well under budget, the amount of dollars that the city owes is less than the $150,000. So there could be another positive avenue of this, which is I'm going to communicate with the county saying that we will probably only need a third of that. Is there any way that those committed dollars could be transferred over to a future project in the same area? because it has to qualify under CDBG regulations, or would they allow us to possibly take it over to Cobblegate? As you know, we got an additional 50,000 on top of that 150, which, not to convolute this too much, but made that $200,000. But we still have a significant amount that we're gonna owe, so we may be able to utilize those dollars there. I can't guarantee anything, but we're gonna try, so. What we need is legislation to support the CDBG grant with Montgomery County.
I'll make that motion.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Darty?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. We have no other business, so we have no one appearing before council. So we'll go back to staff and council reports, and I'll start with the fire department,
No report, thank you, ma'am.
police department,
No report, thank you.
building and zoning,
No report, ma'am, thank you.
parks department,
No report, thank you, ma'am.
community development,
Nothing tonight, thank you, ma'am.
clerk of council,
I have nothing, thank you.
law director,
I have nothing, thank you.
finance director.
Just one item. I was notified yesterday that our audit was received by the state or reviewed by the state. We will be getting the official notification soon, so you may be getting an email in the next week or two that the official audit is posted publicly on the Auditor of State's website. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. City manager,
The only item I have is come out to movie night. I've seen Mario Brothers. It's a great movie, and I look forward to seeing it again.
mayor,
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Burchett,
No report, thank you.
Mr. Dougherty,
No report, thanks.
Mr. Miller,
Nothing further, thank you.
Mrs. Witt,
Nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Allen.
No report other than to say that the residents on South Dixie, they're really pleased with what's going on there.
Great.
I've had several compliments on that.
I'll extend that to staff. Thank you.
One thing I have is I will confirm that the Health Night Out on September 30th is posted to Facebook. And it has been shared because I've shared it to every group I can think of that I can join that allowed Moraine News to be posted to community news. So that is on there. I have nothing else. This meeting is adjourned at 6:29.
Oh.